Hello, everyone. Good morning. Who went to the party last night? Okay, so some people are still sleeping out here. Okay, and to the other ones, welcome to this new day of this KIKK festival. I hope you are having a good time. Yes? Okay. One person is having a good time. That's good news. Before I introduce the next speaker, who is there in the backstage and really excited to come on stage, just a few words of technical information. As you know, there are so many things to do during this festival, and there are also some workshops and masterclasses. It's all listed in the program. I don't know if you had a look. But my information is that there are still tickets available, and it's mostly tomorrow on Saturday. So please make sure you check on it. And something else, there are also some live performances that are part of the KIKK in Town. It's not easy to see, but if you open the program, and you can do it with me. Okay. Here you have KIKK in Town, and then Théâtre de Namur and Le Delta. The first one, Diane and Amos, they do live performances twice a day or 4 times a day. Really, it's really something. You get into their intimacy by listening to what's happening inside them, their intestine things and stuff. They've been eating like shit for a day, and they make you listen on what's happening in there. Yeah, I know, you want to go. Okay, so next speaker on stage is Mélodie, and she's giving this conference for the first time. She's French and she lives in Zurich, and she will be telling you about her creations that are a mix of sculpture, arts, virtual experiences, immersive experiences, and also this title of this conference, which I love, is Echoes of the Jellyfish, Synesthetic Conversation Between Species. So please give a warm applause to Mélodie.
Hello. So, yes, my name is Mélodie Mousset, and I'm very happy to be here. I wanted to thank the KIKK Festival for having me here this year. It's my first time. And I'm actually here presenting 2 different projects, very different, which actually shows also the different hats that I'm having at the moment. I'm presenting the Jellyfish in... Oh, what's happening? Oh. I'm presenting the Jellyfish in the exhibition space, which is a VR experience. But I'm also presenting what I'm doing with my startup called PatchXR in the market. And those projects are very different. There, I'm acting more also as an artist, but also as a co-founder, and all the startup complication when you're doing music, tech, and the adventure behind a startup. And yes, so I wanted to start by showing you and sharing with you something that really changed my life in 2012. So that was a long time ago. And I was doing an introspective project. I was not in school anymore. It was just after I finished my master. And I was doing this very, let's say, self-journey exploration into my life and my relation with my mom. And for that, I was at the hospital in Geneva, and I ended up stepping inside my uterus virtually, which was, a very intense, and you can imagine, life-changing experience. And in fact, although it was just a virtual uterus, it completely transformed the way I worked. And since then, I never left VR. So yes, let's say I have been, some kind of a pioneer, but pioneer is not really the right word, but I've just been stuck in VR for the good or the worst, I am not sure. And I don't even know if I recommend it to anyone, to be honest. But The funny part, though, is that back then, because I didn't know if I was making a performance about my organ and everything, or a film, so I was just filming everything. So I ended up filming that moment. So that's what I'm going to start this conference with. Is it starting? Or do I need to press? I need to press.
Attention, t'as l'écran juste en face, je sais pas si tu veux.
So here I'm in the hospital.
D'où il sort celui-là? Mais il a pas eu?
Ah,
Il est carrément apparu juste là.
c'est quoi?
C'est mon utérus. Mais c'est incroyable. Attends, je peux mettre la tête dedans?
Ouais.
Je vais voir quelque chose?
Je crois que oui.
Oh my god, mais c'est taré! C'est trop bien! Ah non, c'est génial! Attends, je suis à l'intérieur de mon utérus!
C'est
Ah
comme
non.
si tu étais un embryon là.
Ah non, mais c'est trop marrant!
En position fétale un peu.
Voilà, c'est génial! Attends, hop, sur la tête. Ah non, là, c'est excellent. C'est excellent. Ok, bref. Alors, comment je fais pour le pousser jusqu'à la mer?
Donc voilà, et non, sérieusement, c'était vraiment la première fois que j'essayais de la VR. Et donc là, on me voit dans ce qui s'appelait le système CAV. Donc c'était c'était bien avant que les lunettes soient sorties sur le marché, enfin les casques de VR. Oh, sorry. I switched back into French. Did I start the conference in French? No, I didn't. No, that's good. Okay, so we're in English. Yes, so I got lost. That's great. Yes. So this is a cave. This was at the hospital, and they made this lab for testing brain and emotion. So it was a cognitive behavior laboratory. And, I ended up there for, it's very too long to explain. Maybe over a drink, I can explain you the story. It's very funny. And yes, so since that I never left, it completely transformed my life. And I want to go back to this image because here is, for me, where it encapsulates all my practices. So here, I'm inside my uterus, and I'm basically going on top, looking outside, going back, going outside, and basically just experiencing that boundary, right? That moment where you're not inside, you're not outside. And I feel like my entire work as an artist has been kind of that skin that basically define like what's you, what's not. And and I use technology or pretty much anything to expand or try to transform or fluidify or solidify or scatter that surface that basically separate me from you, separate me from my environment or anything, basically. Yes. Yes. So, yes, I've been doing this with VR because VR is pretty much the perfect medium to experiment with this because you don't see yourself and you can experiment a lot of different impossible things. But in fact, I started with a lot of other medium. You can do it with anything, basically. So here, because I thought there might be some students in the room, so I'm going way back in time where I was already trying to experiment this mimicry and how I can transform myself through my art practice. So here, with becoming a sculptor, like by dressing up like my sculpture or dressing my sculpture like me. Here with or Without You, where, well, that's not me, that's a friend, but the same concept, where she's singing some love song with a mirror, like a cast over herself, and trying to kind of bring, like breathing and singing in her mouth, trying to bring her life. Here, with stones. Here you see, again, I'm trying to liberate myself, heal myself by using stones and like with a hairdresser, kind of healing chant thing. So yeah, so here again, trying to, becoming something else, becoming a stone, trying to remove the stone that are keeping me trapped within myself and my character, which I think is like hard like a stone, But no, you can liberate yourself through art. Like, here, it's slow. Oops. Like always clay. I'm just showing you like a lot of different medium that I've used over the year to perform this transformation, and those are very, classic mediums, right? Clay. This is ceramic. Before it was a stone sculpture. There was a plaster. So I'm using all this very traditional medium to expand and kind of think about like what's inside of me, what's outside. Here I'm becoming this empty pot and basically playing with this plasticity of the brain and plasticity of the body. So yeah, here you see the potter is actually just like performing a sort of surgery on my brain. Yes, and for example, also with Hana Hana, which is another virtual experience, here I was enabling people to also expand themselves by growing hands out of the desert and creating sculpture. It was a multiplayer environment, so it means like people could basically just grow themselves out like their hand out of other people's hands and kind of collaborate in this sandbox. This is kind of like Minecraft, but in a surreal, like very crazy way. And this was actually, quite. It was never shown at KIKK, unfortunately, but it's an experience that won many awards and that traveled a lot. And it was very interesting because as a that was the first time I created a multiplayer experience. And the body, the user didn't have a body. They were like this life form, like sparkling particle, and they just had this power to grow hands out of the desert. But they could actually come together. Like the hand would start to generate this energy, like the hand that you create, instead, like this electric field, and the user could come and grab it. And if there were several users, grab it together, and they would start interacting with each other. They would start creating music, and then the hands around would start dancing, and then the weather would start changing, and the rain would start coming, and then the lightning, and then all the hands around are falling, like everything was going red. It was really crazy. So basically, when you start collaborating, like everything starts, to happen, and you start controlling the world around you, the weather forecast. So you're really into this somehow magic, ritual element where, you're going. I mean, this is happening for you for real, that you're controlling, what's happening in your planet by the way you interact with others. So very interesting. What I love with VR is also like, or with art in general, is like you're making I love to give experience to people, and as you're going through the experience, which, it's not a conceptual experience, it's really an experiential moment, while it transforms you and actually make you think differently. Or like here, for example, you're just doing this like super randomly because it's very satisfying to grab a hand, grow some stuff. But at the end of the day, you've this imprinted in your brain that you've, by collaborated with others, by going in synchronization with others, because there's a synchronization going with the music, you're changing the environment. And I mean, this is, your brain just learned that, although it was a virtual experience. And then it's transformed yourself for real. So this is actually very concrete. Last work where I actually just use no medium, no technology at all, nothing, where I just walk through a mountain for 7 kilometers. So I used a pipe that was for a water pipe for, how you call it, a dam, and they're cleaning and repairing the dam pipe like every 7 years. So basically, I used the moment where it was empty and being cleaned. I asked if it was possible that I just walk through that mountain. It was 8-kilometer tunnel, and I did this without light. So it was like a 3-meter diameter tunnel. And just imagine yourself, like, you can even close your eyes if you want, where you're like walking, and it's very cold because it's inside the mountain. And the sound is insane, like, because it's like this perfectly straight tunnel, and you just really don't see anything. So I didn't have my phone or light or anything. And my breathing was completely amplified by the tube. And like every steps, everything, and there was a little bit of water in the middle that was left over. And I could just know that I was going straight because, because it's round. So at some point you're just like, bro. So, and it was really crazy experience. But basically there I just really lost the sense of myself. And after 8-kilometer walking, like it was, I don't know, a couple of hours, because at some point you don't even know if you're going straight up and down. It's really, I would recommend it. I wanted, actually at one time I was thinking, maybe I should do like this tourism thing, like have an amazing, like every 7 years, like find all this tunnel where they're getting cleaned and just like open like a little like tourist, like find yourself through a 7-kilometer walk through the mountain. But I didn't do it, but if my startup really doesn't pick up, that might be an option. Yes, so back then, something germinated in my head, like this VR. By the way, this was the first Oculus. It was, actually the date is wrong. I think it was 14, and it was the Kickstarter. So after the cave, I got the first headset, and that's where I got all my organs done. So actually, I got a bit sidetracked. That sucks because I don't have so much time. Yes. So all this idea, mimicry, mirroring, transformation, ritual, healing, sympathy, like sympathetic magic, like mixing, like how magic and science finally meet when it's about empathy and sympathy, when it means, like when you look at something, it's basically firing the same neuron that when you're doing something. So basically everything that is about like, empathy, sympathy, which relate to the jellyfish, right? Because in the jellyfish, you are becoming the jellyfish. You are, I just wanted to say also like this synchronicity, which brings, when you enter in sympathy with something, which that's what we've seen in my work so far, like a lot of double and mirroring and everything. So basically, you are moved by the other, but you're both moved by the other. Like in Hana, it's like every player, they didn't know each other, they couldn't speak with each other, but by kind of understanding the mechanic of synchronicity to perform that crazy rain ritual, well, everybody is moved by each other, and moving is like in both sense, like moved physically with the motor sensory, but also moved emotionally, cognitively. I mean, it's an entire thing. And this is really what's happening in the jellyfish here, which I don't know if you've seen it yet. Who has seen it? I can't actually see, but not so many people I see. So I'm going to explain a little bit what is the jellyfish experience. So you start the experience, you are underwater. And you basically, there is a soundscape. It's very meditative and calming, and you see some ghost creature swimming around you, kind of like that. And if you look at one specifically, it will kind of feel like you're looking at it, and it will approach, come straight at you, and basically wait for you to engage with it. And when you engage with your voice, it means like, or even cuckoo. Well, it will actually start reacting and lighting, and will start responding to you as well. So it records the tone and the pitch and a lot of different aspects of your voice, and basically mirror that at you. So you are looking at a mirror of yourself. We first started this as a voice visualizer when we started this project. So it was not really this philosophical or ecological or spiritual piece. It was really just about like making an experiment. Let's try to see how it is when you visualize your voice. So there is, a pure data patch who's analyzing the voice and like transforming it. There is all these like shaders that are like everything is in real time. So there is not like a real jellyfish. There is just code basically that just reacts to you. And as you're speaking with the jellyfish, suddenly, like singing with the jellyfish, what happened is, because you remember what I told you before, like when you are in sympathy, when you enter in sympathy with something, where you start, seeing your voice through the jellyfish, while you kind of displacing yourself or like embodying the jellyfish, becoming the jellyfish, or becoming that space between this creature and you, where it's guiding you, you're guiding her. Basically, your sense of self is becoming porous, and you're somehow forget about your physical body and your, that closed self. So in that state of, openness, which I think is truly, that's my experience when I experience this work, and I would be very curious to hear what's yours. But I think it's really, because it's really hypnotizing, and this relationship with yourself via another species, completely like, just brings you into a very different state. Actually, there is, it's, for me, it was always a concept in Deleuze, like when I was a student, really loved Deleuze, like, like French artist, always refer to Deleuze. And Deleuze speak about this becoming medusa, where it's basically becoming fluid. And what I love here with this piece, or with art, or VR in general, is like, you can actually experience concept. So here, like, you're really becoming that jellyfish, and it's also bring you in that state of mind of synesthesia, So so let me show you something here. Are you aware of the rubber hand illusion? I never thought I would ever put a slide like this in one of my talks, because I feel like it's really like, again, the rubber hand illusion. Yeah, but I put it here because I don't know how general public or VR knowledgeable you are. Do you know this experience? Great. Well, so in that one, you think that rubber hand is part of your body. You don't think. It's just your body just mapped that rubber hand just because the touch is synchronous between the fake and the real. So in the jellyfish, we're not using touch, we're using voice, and we're using gaze. Because as you're also moving into space, once you've connected with the jellyfish, it's actually move with you. So you can dance, it's follow. So you are really using this phenomenon of, actually I forgot the neurological name for that. But yeah, it's really the same. So actually it's proven phenomenon. And this happens, with everything. When you start watching, when two humans come together and start mimicking each other or live together, their bodies start also to synchronize. For example, women start getting their period at the same time, or your heartbeats start to also beat at the same time. There is even some experiment in Germany now. Like a friend of mine is actually doing this experience in the lab with fish, trying to see if human heart can synchronize with the fish heart by living near the fish heart and by hearing the fish heart a bit closer to their ear. Well, the experience is just starting, so we don't know if it works. But we can see that maybe, you know, there is a synchronicity between the organs of different beings and different species. Very interesting stuff. And for me, I really think the jellyfish as a therapeutical work. I mean, I haven't really bring that work into, you know, any concrete places for therapy. Maybe another startup idea for later. But I do think it does create a real sense of empathy and of connection with another. Although it's a virtual being, as I mentioned before, like every experience you live actually leave a trace in you and open you up. And the famous thing with VR is like embodying another, like a different, like, yeah, if you're a fat person and then you start embodying a skinny person, well, you will actually see yourself skinnier afterward. Something like this, you know. So, but these are, you know, experiments that have been like done for a long time. So I do think this is pretty amazing. And here, this is like I've brought that work of the jellyfish into AR a bit later. So here are a few images of how it looks in AR. And a very nice video here in Riyadh, where the jellyfish started to react to the, I forgot how you call that, the chant of the priest. I mean, you cannot hear the sound so well, but it was very beautiful. And maybe that video was even made by someone in the audience, because there was the Palais Augmenté, an experience that was an exhibition that was in Paris that traveled to Riyadh, and yes, with fisheye. So just wanted to show you that because it's quite beautiful. Tick. Voila. So, oh, wait, no, yeah. All right, that was kind of my last slide, but I want to explain, because the jellyfish and Hana and all these different like VR experience that I've made over the past, well, require a team. So, for example, the jellyfish was made with Eduardo Fuyu, which was my collaborator at the time, creative director as well. So we really thought and developed that work together. But behind that, there was a whole team of developers. I mean, small team of developers, but still, you know, you had a technical artist, you had a sound engineer, you had a Unity developer, and additional sound and environment. Like we were, I think, 6 or 7, and we worked like over maybe 6 months on the experience. So just because I come up with this idea, but you know, I'm not the one who's like developing. I'm not a coder, as you see. Like I'm way more comfortable in playing with clay and chocolate or whatever, like material. So like code, I think it's fascinating medium, but I cannot do it. So yes, this requires a big team and big money. And the problem is like most of artists, I mean, I know things are changing, but at my time in fine art school, there was really not like anything beside like traditional stuff. I know now there's media art and maybe things are moving a little bit, necessity, because we know there's new media are going into this immersive, connected world, and people want to create for the metaverse. Yeah, just to say that after my learning and like my love of VR, I was also, you know, struggling because I had to find so much money to do my project. So I became more a project manager and less of a crazy artist. And then we came up together with this idea of Patchworld with Eduardo Fuyu, which was my collaborator for Jellyfish. And Patchworld is the experience in the market, and it's basically a tool for other creators that are not necessarily super technical to build this experience around music, like synesthetic experience. So basically, everything that connects sound and visual for this, we call it between us, this new art format, like visual music, immersive visual music. So it's really bridging all these senses, like kinetic as well, because it's VR, so you can use your body to generate sound and image with different people, so it's connected as well. So yeah, Patchworld is a tool, is a multiplayer music and art maker that we've been developing over the year to basically empower other creators that, like me or like Edo, are not like developers themselves. And the idea is very affordable, and we're trying to make it very intuitive. So yes, it's. I think you should go and try it. Oh, that's the time I have left, so I have more time. Okay, I was trying to go very fast because I thought it was gonna go, yes. But that's fine. Actually, I will talk a little bit more about Patchworld. So, we call it kind of the Minecraft of music. So it's a multiplayer place, or like Roblox or Rec Room. So you can go inside and meet other users, and you can create rooms, you can build your own world, you can import all your assets, and you can connect all your visual assets to sound. So this is really where it connects with the Jellyfish, is because it's about real-time sound and visual. So our dream is that someone can create the Jellyfish with our tool. So far, it's still not, you cannot arrive to that degree of complexity because the Jellyfish is so, you know, I mean, it's not complicated, but it's very organic, and things, organic things sometimes are much more complicated than just making cubes like Minecraft. So here you can import all your assets, you can connect everything to your existing framework or creation. I don't know if you're using Ableton or a guitar or whatever. You can use a OSC protocol and then connect your assets, and then you can jam with each other, which is super interesting. Like, we have a Discord server, and I love to see how artists, like visual artists and musicians, and more like, I don't know, developer type of engineer are getting together, and one guy is going to build an instrument from scratch, like really in this patching environment, like Max MSP or Pure Data. So he's going to like use oscillator and virtual cable and build like this device. And another one would be more like a musician and grab this device and start playing a track. And somebody who is more visual person will start connecting that track and that instrument to a world. And then it creates this amazing, you know, pieces of collaborative work. So I can only recommend that you try it, or you come at the market and try it. And yeah, I guess I'm finishing early, so maybe you have questions. You want me to maybe speak about something I jumped really fast over? This is a little bit too... yes? So, I mean, at the very beginning, we followed something was some color of the cosmos. I mean, the sound of vibration. There is a theory about sound of vibration, like each vibration, each wave has a color, actually, is corresponding to a color. It has a name. I'm not sure what exactly is the name, but there is a... yes, there is a rule here, which, you know, there's many different you know, you can find many different correspondence between one color and a sound, but we choose one spectrum. Yeah. And then, you know, in the jellyfish itself, like we're mapping so many different things, like the texture, the movement, the wobble of this, the tentacles, there's like kind of a thing inside. I don't know how you say it in English. So everything is really like picking up on different cue. And you know, when you hold a note, then you create some little babies as well, and the babies also create sound that goes around you. It's very playful. Well, thank you.